Hello and welcome to my video on how to install DHCP. First, we're going to start out by installing the DHCP service by going to Add Remove Programs and then Add Remove Windows Components. Once the window pops up, you want to scroll down to Network Services. I'm going to select Details and install DHCP. Click OK and then Next and wait a few moments while it builds the service. Once it's done, click Finish and then close the window. In order for this to work, we need to test connectivity with another computer. And to do that, we're going to ping it. And we can see it through a ping. Switching over to the other computer now, I'm going to ping the server and make sure it can see the server. And it sure can. Okay, now back to the server. We're going to go and configure DHCP settings now. So we're going to go to Administrative Tools, DHCP. Here we see our server. We're going to click on New Scope. Click Next. And we're going to name this Scope 1. And then click Next. And we want to divide it into two networks, so to do that, we're going to split up a Class C network into two. So we're going to start out with 192.168.1.1, and the ending IP address will be 192.168.1.126. And the length will be 25 bits long, and that changes your subnet mask to 128. Our exclusions is where we add servers and other things that aren't going to change their IP address. They'll have a static IP and therefore this address won't be handed out. We're going to add this server's address. Oops. As well as the subnet mask. Rather the default gateway, which will be the router, and the WINS and DNS servers. Click Next. We're going to leave the lease duration at 8 days. Yes, we're going to configure some options. Now here's the router. This is where you would put the default gateway information for your clients. For us, it's going to be 1.126. And our parent domain is going to hypothetically be dell.com. And we're going to add a IP address of the server that's going to handle DNS eventually. And that's going to be 1.100. Click Add. And for WINS, we'll add that address as well. And that'll be 101. And yes, we do want to activate the scope now, and click Finish. Expand your scope, and there it is. One thing we want to set also is the conflict detection. So we're going to come in here and select 1 for conflict detection attempts. And get back out of that. And now we're going to go to our XP client and set it up to receive an IP address. We'll go into its network connection properties, tell it to obtain an IP address automatically, click Close, and see that it connects once again. So we're going to do an IP config. And see what it says. And as you can see from the IP config, our domain is dell.com. The IP address for this computer is 1.15, and there's a subnet mask, and the default gateway is 1.126. Now if we want to set a reservation for that particular client, we'll go in here and select New Reservation. Reservation name XP Machine. and we'll give it an IP address of .7. The MAC address, which I grabbed earlier, enter that in binary format. And click Add, then Close. As you can see, the XP machine has its reservation right here, and we'll go back to the XP machine and double check that reservation. We'll type in an ipconfig release, and then an ipconfig renew, and we should see the reservation pop up along with it. Eventually. And as you can see, 1.7 is the IP address that has been assigned. The reservation did work correctly. Unfortunately, I'm out of time, and that is how you set up DHCP. Thank you, Mr. Hennel, for such a great class, and I'll see you next semester.